On top of my last video, I'm also still wondering if it was possible that my father was relocated, that he did not actually die and so on. Now, I am convinced that my brother believed him to be dead, as I believed him to be dead. Does that mean he was dead? I was never sure why he was cremated, because he'd been very clear with me that he wanted to be buried. He even told me he had a double burial plot. Of course, that could have been rubbish. But he had told me that the plot where my mother was buried was a double plot. He was extremely clear always that he wanted to be buried, and suddenly he was cremated. And I am not implying anything against my brother. I'm afraid I might inadvertently have done that on some previous video or another. I'm convinced now that I am convinced that my brother was as much an innocent as I was. Didn't have a clue what was happening. I do still think it's possible that my father, alias Dick Oakley, was relocated to Hertfordshire, where he died 6 years later on the anniversary of Fiona's death. If I work backwards, to my knowledge, 2 men were present at the death of Fiona Green. They were Robin Stoddart and a man with the alias of Dick Oakley. Robin Stoddart was murdered 2 years later by a hitman from the UDA. And he was a hitman for the UDA. Dick Oakley died on the 6th anniversary of Fiona's death. I think that date was chosen for him, not by God and not by nature. And what strikes me as very odd, I may flash up the death certificate yet again, is that he was 81. He had COPD as I have, which is a terminal disease, and he was in hospital, and you might think he was expected to die. Yet there was a post-mortem on him. My understanding of post-mortems is that they only occur when the death is not expected. There have to be special circumstances, even more special circumstances for an inquest, of course. Still, why was there a post-mortem on a man of 81 who was expected to die and who was in hospital? I think that's odd. I don't think he was expected to die on the 16th of February. And I believe he was finished off on that date, very deliberately, to make the point that both the men present at Fiona's death, or at least 2 of them, if there were more than 2, were now deceased, and that crime against Fiona was avenged. That is what I think, and I'm not going to change my mind.